Hi everyone, Dr. Tausman here. We're going to start off with the outline on movement. What I basically will need you to do is take the outline that I have and just write some notes in and kind of get the big picture of everything. I actually took a little picture of myself to kind of illustrate the marvels of movement that if you see me in this picture, I'm standing up next to the old chair I used to have. I got a new recliner last year for my birthday that I'm sitting in right now, and it's just amazing how you can stand up on one leg, hold a ball, hold an umbrella in the other hand, and we have such amazing what we call behavioral plasticity. Right now I'm walking, I'm shaking the acoustic recorder here, I'm talking, I'm moving. We have so many motoric behaviors, and that's because we have a lot of plasticity, the ability to do multiple things simultaneously, almost in an automatic processing way. And if you watch a baby as they learn to walk, you can kind of see these behaviors taking place that we can learn a lot from those processes going on. Speed skaters, if you look at speed skaters and what's going on with them, and then we can also look at disease states to see how the brain might be functional with all of this behavioral plasticity. One of the ideas is if you have a lot of brain plasticity, then maybe you'll have behavioral plasticity as well. And the first picture I have for you is a very interesting picture. It actually maps to the speed skater abstract that's right below it, that they basically looked at what's going on with speed skaters. And one of the big ideas that they often talk about is something called, with the dendrites in your brain, something called dendritic arborization, which is a very interesting term. Arbor means tree, and basically what they've been able to find is that if you're really good at doing certain motor tasks, such as speed skating, you actually develop a lot of dendritic arborization. The dendrites kind of arbor, and they form, if you look at ENF, like a tree structure. Your cerebellum is the main structure in your brain that controls this. So the more motoric behavior you can show, the bigger these brain structures grow and the better your behavioral plasticity is. And so the abstract, if you want to kind of summarize that and map it back to this idea of dendritic arborization, is important to that. The neuroanatomy of movement is very, very complicated, but a few key structures are of note to us here. One of those key structures is the substantia nigra. That plays a big role in Parkinson's disease, which my father has. Another big area is the motor cortex in the frontal lobe. That initiates all movement. Even the speech movement that I'm doing now is a motor movement. And then the final key area, especially in movement-related disorders, is the neuromuscular junction. That's the area where when neuronal signals are coming out of the neurons, they make a juncture with your muscles, to move your muscles. And so we have a few disease states that I wanted to talk about. The first one being myasthenia gravis, and what I'd like you to do is go to the website that I've put up there for you and share 3 extra pieces of information. But in myasthenia gravis, if you know anybody with this disease, the neuromuscular junction becomes impaired. If you look at that picture, there's a lot of acetylcholine that comes down basically at the end of the neuron, and then it makes a connection to the muscle fiber. And what we see with myasthenia gravis is we see a loss of acetylcholine and a loss in that neuromuscular junction between the last neuron basically and the muscle. And the neurotransmitter that's at all the muscle areas is acetylcholine. So what they try to do to treat myasthenia gravis is they try to basically give you a product that will increase acetylcholine. The most often used product is something called physostigmine. And let me explain what physostigmine does. It's basically a product that helps acetylcholine in the following way. And you'll want to write this down, that usually acetylcholine is released by the neuron, the end of the axon, and acts at the neuromuscular junction. But then there's an enzyme that comes in called acetylcholinesterase, and that normally breaks down acetylcholine. Physostigmine blocks acetylcholinesterase, and so by blocking the enzyme that destroys the neurotransmitter, you're basically increasing acetylcholine. So that is myasthenia gravis. Look at the website, see what you can find. And then we move on to Parkinson's disease. Once again, Michael J. Fox, parkinsonsdisease.org, and the National Institute of Health. Go and see if you can search and find 3 facts from each of these websites, and see if you can find, even from the NIH, the National Institute of Health, any phase 3 studies going on with Parkinson's right now. So Parkinson's disease, my dad unfortunately has had it for 10 years and it's getting very advanced for him. You have the pill rolling resting tremor. You have a rigidity that starts, bradykinesia, where slowness of movements, and postural inability or instability, where you start having, you start falling. We find that there's a loss of dopamine in the nigrostriatal pathway in the brain. So we see a loss of dopamine. Some of the products that you guys mentioned were right on track. You have basically Requip, which helps with the bindings, helps increase the binding of dopamine. You have L-Dopa, when given with, carbidopa, Sinemet, will basically increase the production of dopamine. L-Dopa is the precursor to dopamine, so that'll basically help things out. And now they even have some MAO inhibitors, which might help out as well. The problem with all these products, of course, are side effects. There's some other treatments as well. See if you can look up some information on deep brain stimulation and maybe share a few bits of information about that. Yoga and Tai Chi, I've got an abstract below. There's been a lot of research done with stem cells. See if you can find some information about that. And then below I have an abstract on what my dad is actually using, which is a pump. See if you can describe that on the basis of what you see. And early on in the disease state for my dad, he was actually taking coenzyme Q10. Now the highest level of review for any potential product is what we call a Cochrane review. See if you can go to the link I've provided there and see if you can find anything on this product and if it's actually been useful. So L-Dopa and some of these other things seem to be very good. Finally, I wanted to talk about what some of you mentioned with nutritional products, omega-3. I didn't see too much on that, actually. There were some studies done with depression, with dementia, but there was actually, I have a little link here for omega-3 on a phase 2 clinical trial, which is where they're trying to show safety and efficacy, and see if you could summarize a few key points there. So that is the idea. The information you guys found was right on the mark with things. So take this outline, see if you can add some of your own little fun facts to it, and that will do it for movement. Thank you. Bye-bye.